Yeah, I use Unreal Engine to create virtual production backgrounds, and gives us the opportunity to change the angle of everything rather than having like a green screen shot and then trying to plop in some video behind it.
Lights on the set, the director's late. The cameraman sneezes, oh what a fate. The coffee spilled, the script's all wet. But darling, we ain't started shooting yet. Actors rehearsing with lines gone astray, improvising words like it's Broadway's play. The boom mic drops in a hilarious dive, but somehow the scene comes out alive.
Welcome back to the Anecdotes video podcast. I'm your host, Bob Krieger. Today we have our guests, Michele Bousquet and Dave Burdick of Many Worlds Productions, and actors and podcasters Brian Plaideau and TJ Sebastian. Welcome, guys. Today we're going to be talking about their entry in the Kickoff 48 film competition called Party at the End of the Universe. And that's kind of a cool name. And oh, you like that, huh, Brian? Okay,
Party!
It was really, really interesting. And the fact that it was done in basically 48 hours, like any of these 48 competitions, is really incredible, especially with the backgrounds that you had to use to kind of show, the future and so on and so forth. I thought it was really incredible. So let's just talk about the special effects first, because I'm really interested in that and how that was done, the backgrounds. Dave, you were the one who created the backgrounds?
I did. Yeah, I use Unreal Engine to create virtual production backgrounds, and gives us the opportunity to change the angle of everything rather than having like a green screen shot and then trying to plop in some video behind it. So.
Oh, I like that. It kind of gives a little bit of motion rather than just your standard flat, green screen like I think most of us are used to. What do you project on?
It's just a rear projection screen that I think it's 10 feet by 6 feet.
Okay. It's not like what Hollywood uses. It's smaller than that, but it was really quite effective. I mean, I liked what y'all came up with. How long did it take you to come up with the actual designs using Unreal Engine?
I was up until about 4:00 in the morning on Saturday, working out all of the kinks and getting the special effects in the background of it, that kind of thing. So from 9:00 at night till 4:00 in the morning. So 7 hours or so.
Wow. Okay. That's dedication. I like that.
So how many times have you used Unreal Engine to create backdrops for that before this, just for an understanding of the learning curve?
So we've done one mid-feature length film, and I think about 6 or 7 48-hour film projects with it. Michele would probably know better how many we've done so far.
Oh, that sounds about right. And I think the first one, like we did a few tests, we tried some different things. The first time we really used it a lot was actually for the 4 Points film contest, which is the predecessor to the Kickoff 48. But it's a 72 or 77 hour contest, but it's international. And for that, there was a lot of experimenting. We wanted to do something from a medieval time. I think that might have been chosen partly because Dave was able to find some really cool castles and stuff that was already set up. Because learning how to set up the lighting and, if you're going to tint it a little bit or do some different stuff with it, that definitely was a learning curve. So in the beginning, we just picked stuff that was already pre-made that you could get off the Unreal Engine marketplace for free or for $20 or something like that. So we did a little shopping. I think we spent, like $50, $60 on backgrounds, and then we were set. And we had this whole medieval town. We had the inside of this tailor shop. We had all kinds of different backgrounds in that time. That was fun.
Wow. Well, let's go back to the Kickoff 48. You said that this is the continuation of the 4 Points Festival, something like that.
That's what the 48 people said, but then now when I bring it up, they say no, and I don't know. They stopped doing the 4 points, and now they're doing the kickoff 48. So
Okay.
that's all. And they're both international, and that's all we know.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm going to assume, and they can tell me otherwise if they want to come on the podcast and talk about it, that the kickoff 48 kicks off the round the world, contests that are happening, all around. Ours is coming up in New Orleans in July, I believe. So I've already been tapped to edit on that one for one of those. It happens, and that's fine. It's going to be fun. So, what was y'all's genre and the required element and the line? Do you know what those were? Remember what those were?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
We had time traveler sci-fi was our genre. We had to have the line, a promise is a debt. The prop was a drill, and the character was
The
Molly?
party event planner.
Melody Bluffer.
Melody Bluffer.
Bluffer, an event
Party
planner.
event planner.
My nemesis.
And that's actually one of my, stories with this is that, you have to mention the character in some way. And the more you incorporate it, instead of being heavy-handed, like, hello, I am Melody Bluffer, and I am a party planner. Like, that's like the word that qualifies, but it's the worst way to do it. So I had Brian's character getting a text from Melody Bluffer saying, DM me for an important opportunity. And of course, Dave edits till 4 a.m. Then I get up at 4, and I've been editing at this point for 6 or 7 hours, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning. And I put in the text, and I put that it was from Melody Blubber.
Ooh.
Because we had been, when we were spitballing the story, we were looking at, bluffer, like we could play on that, like fluffer or blubber, or, there's all kinds of different things we could do with this name. And in my head, it was Melody Blubber. So at, 2 p.m, it's due at 7, of course. I showed it to Mike, our DP, and he said, is that supposed to say blubber? And I was like, what? Yeah, yeah. When I looked it up, and I was like, so I changed it, and it was fine. But yeah.
And you almost got us in trouble. You added a word in the line that we had to use, like the word more or something. I was like, wait a minute. You have to be that precise, folks. And
Yes.
I want to take a second. A lot of our friends know about the 48-hour Film Fest, but it's a contest. And on a Friday night, every participating team, either for the international, we were online, or you go to a meeting place, and they pick your genre or genres out of a hat, so it's random. Everybody has to use a line they're introduced to that night, like we said, a character, a prop, line, character, prop, and then the genre. So then you basically write it on Friday, film it on Saturday, edit on Sunday, and turn it in by Sunday evening, a 48-hour film. And it's 4 to 7 minutes. And it's not as easy as it sounds.
No. There's a lot of people who take that 4 to 7 minute when they hear that. It's, that's easy. I can do that. It's like, no, you cannot.
Yeah.
You can do anything in 4 to 7 minutes, but to tell a cohesive and intelligible story is difficult. You know what I mean? You can have a great idea. I know on our other teams, Matt, Carroll, TJ, and I, we all have big ideas. And Matt is great at writing. We usually come out with a 10-minute film, and we cut it down to a 7-minute for the 48, and then for the YouTube release, it might grow a bit. And maybe
that's fairly common. Like this script, even that we just did, when I wrote it, it was a full 7 pages long, and I thought this is gonna be too long. And when Dave did his first edit, it was 7.5 minutes, and then it was my turn, and I just was like snip, 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 cutting stuff down. Okay, I can get this point across quicker. I don't have to have that. That's gone. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I totally get that. One of the first 48 competitions that I participated in, our writer wrote a 12-page story. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to have to cut this down. And then we went to, when I edited, I actually got the first cut to 15 minutes. And I'm like, okay, we have to lose half of this. And which I looked at as like, okay, I can do this, and I pulled everything out, and we ended up with 6 minutes and 59 seconds, and not including credits because that was an extra minute. So
Right. The credits don't count.
Credits don't count. And he was the writer was very, very miffed and upset. And I'm like, well, it doesn't work for the competition. We need to have it this. He's like, no, it needs to be my entire story. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. I'm pulling my name. I'm pulling everything. I'm like, okay, pull your name. See you later. And
Are you trying to say you had to deal with a fussy artist?
No. There are fussy artists, and it's happened before, and it'll happen again. These competitions are not for the fussy artist type. It's to have fun. To me, it's to learn. Because I'm always learning new techniques, new ways of doing things. It's seeing what we can get done. Brian, you and TJ, how did y'all get involved in this film?
We had Michele on our podcast, which hopefully will come out soon. We're in the process of editing episodes. I won't tell you about our delays until we cross over to our episode for the continuation of this.
There you go. What podcast is it?
It's NOLA Film Scene with TJ and Plaideau.
Excellent.
And would you like to say why you had me on in particular for a specific thing?
To talk about your 48 experience.
And the book that you wrote about.
Thank you, TJ.
How you do a 48.
Oh, wow.
Michele always quizzes me. She quizzes me when we did this last 48, and she goes, and what I say, and I've read her book, and I was like, and it was about accordion. You make crumple zones in your planning because things will go wrong, and if you can lose something, that's, but I digress.
And also to try and give everybody a little spotlight. So if 6 actors show up, we have a little line, we have a scene where people are calling out questions to a reporter, or they are, in this case, they were yelling insults at Brian. So everybody got a personal insult to yell at Brian. Or if one actor shows up, when we just have one insult, or you have a script that you can stretch because you don't know who's going to show up. You can say, people can say they're going to show up, but things happen. My car broke down. My pet is sick. My kid is sick. One time we had 3 people who didn't show up because they had family emergencies. Wow. So you just have to be flexible like that. That's all.
Okay. Very nice. So when did you find out what this is for Brian and TJ? When did you find out what the story was and what your role was going to be?
Well, Michele messaged us as soon as she got the information for the genre and the information we needed to know. She told us what the genre was going to be, what the phrase, like what the line of dialogue needed to be. And she started writing that night. We showed up on set the next morning and had scripts and went to work. So I don't know, I guess we knew probably by 8 or 9 o'clock. I don't remember what time you got the information, but it was very shortly after that she let everybody know. That's one thing. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to say about Michele, but one of the things is that she was really good with communication, both on and off set, with keeping everybody informed about where and when and what, and very, very smooth experience.
Okay, I like that. Communication is really important.
It really is.
And Michele, in every aspect, thinks about her people, because you can go to even just a short film. We haven't had super huge film experience, but people will, this person's got one scene, I'm going to let them sit and hold it. It's kind of like when you work in background and they're not respectful of your time, but you're doing this for free. So that's a big thing. So Michele said, these are the big scenes. We're going to get them knocked out. And then the people who don't have to be here, y'all can go home. You can stay if you want and help, but it's respectful. Like, hey, we know you have a life. It's not just all about us. And it shows, even at this level, it shows when you respect the people around you, and she shines.
Oh yeah. That's something that's, I think a lot of people, like everybody listening and watching in the audience, you do need to understand, be respectful of your crew, be respectful of your talent, because you may have this great auteur experience that you have planned in your head, but you have people who have lives. I mean, let's just consider us trying to get together 5 individuals for this podcast. My great plan was to come to the studio behind me, and well, that didn't quite work out. But this is just as great. This is awesome, because the whole purpose is to talk with y'all. So, sometimes you need to look at what other people have, what they're going to do. You have talent that needs to go because they have an audition they need to do. That's important. Shoot it, let them go. May have to rearrange your shooting schedule, rearrange other things to make it happen, but you can make it happen, and you're not going to lose anything because it's not going exactly the way you planned. Michelle, I like the way you talked about the accordion idea. Is you do have to have places in there where you can expand or contract. I'm kind of going the opposite, where you can expand or contract the script, so you don't lose the story, but you're able to make changes on the fly. I do like that. So what time did y'all start shooting?
It's around noon. We tried for noon. I think it was maybe 12:15 when we started. I don't do this show up at 6 a.m. thing. It's always 10 to 6, always. So you show up at 10, we get situated. At this point, I'm probably still going over shots with the DP, trying to figure out, the shots list, because
Right.
when else are you going to make a shot list? You didn't have the script before then. And so everybody's with wardrobe, they're getting situated, they're figuring out what they're going to wear. In this case, there were a few people that had never used the virtual production setup, so I like to bring everybody down and show it to them. So, because the first time actors work with it, I forget this sometimes, the first time they work with it, they're like, what are we doing? We're in an empty room with a movie screen on it. Like, where's the spaceship we're supposed to be in? I'm like, well, it's going to come up in a minute. It'll be there in a minute. And we talk a little bit about how we set up the shots, where the zone is, where they can walk, because our studio is not that big. So if you don't, if you move outside of this cone, you're not going to be on screen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And all this kind of stuff. So we start shooting around noon, try to get done at 6. We almost never do. I think we were done at 8 this time. Does that sound about right, Ryan? Around 8 o'clock at night?
It was, I believe you're right, but I had messed up and I got myself overheated and I didn't eat as much. My character was sick. And it's like, I can use it. Oh, I'm not really hungry at lunch. By the end of the day, I was, to say bleary-eyed and teary-eyed is an understatement.
Well, actually,
but yeah, around 8.
I'm actually pretty impressed that around 8 was when y'all finished. That never happens to me in like the past 10 years.
I know who you work with, Bob, and I've worked
you
with,
understand,
with
yes.
Hunter too. And it's like, Hunter, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Do you think we can finish? He's like, well, we got to try to get this. Yeah. That's how he rolls. That's how he rolls, and a lot of other teams roll that way too.
He's going to hear this. His favorite line is "one more for safety." That's after 17 takes, but it's all good because we do end up getting it done.
And he makes great films. Well, both of you,
yeah.
y'all make his films. My big joke with Hunter is like, if I manage to come in third, Hunter will come in second or first. Like he's always ahead of me in the rankings of whatever we're doing, and I'm always like, one day, Hunter, I will get you. But he just does great stuff, and this a little shout out for Hunter McGregor. He teaches a children's acting class, and he uses the 48 as an experience for all these kids to be in a film. And I wish when I was 12, I had that experience, because it's really amazing that they have that experience with him.
Yeah, well, they always bring in this the kids for the 48 because of the class. This is their graduation video, and they get something for their IMDb page. They get something for their reel. And there have been a couple of times we had to bring in animals, like my dog, for one film. So they say never work with kids or animals. Well, it seems like we take it the wrong way. We always work with kids or animals. And
is that your dog in Good Girl? Are you talking about Good Girl? Oh,
that's
yeah.
my little Maggie. Yep. Yeah, she's outside, not barking.
She was wonderful, but that was the first year that I entered the 48, 2019. I remember the films very well, because that was such an exciting year for me. I decided to enter this 48-hour film contest because I thought it would be fun. And I was in an improv troupe, and I said, just let's come over and let's make a film. And they're like, what kind of film? I'm like, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be an awful film, but we're gonna have a great time. So I didn't know this, but one of them was a professional cinematographer. And a couple of them professionally do wardrobe and makeup. And the cinematographer brought his editor friend with him, so I didn't have to do all the editing myself. So that's my history. Is I've been an editor since the 1980s. And the way he shot it, the cinematography is just amazing. I was going to shoot it on my phone. It was going to be a piece of garbage. And we won Audience Choice, Best Costumes, Best Sound Design, like a whole bunch of awards. And I was like, oh.
Which one was it?
Ride to Destiny was a cowboy movie.
Yes, with the stick ponies and all that. Yes, I loved that. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, okay, there's a challenge here. Okay, this it made me mad because it's a competition for our film, and but that's okay.
Well, Hunter was kind of like, okay, who are you? And I'm like, I just showed I made a film. And he's like, you've never made a film before? And I did corporate video. I've done commercials. I've been around, but I've never made a narrative film, and certainly not in 48 hours. So, then we became friends. But he's always ahead of me. Always ahead of me.
Well, Dave, let me ask you a question along those same lines. When did you get started in this, and how did you get started in this, in filmmaking or narrative film?
Well, I started dating this girl, and she said, do you want to learn how to use Unreal Engine so that we can figure out how to do virtual production? And I said, oh, yeah, sure. Can't be that hard. This was 3 years ago.
Can't be that hard.
She made your heart flutter. Do you want to learn some tech stuff about movies? Oh, baby.
Yeah. So it was maybe 4 years ago. I actually started, and never did any video editing before that, never played around with Unreal Engine, one time back in high school, I was an extra zombie on a film that a friend of mine's dad was making. But that's my experience. So
very, very nice. Brian, what about you? I know, as you bring a cup to your lips, tell us the lovely story in your baritone voice of how you got started in acting.
Oh, wow. So in 2018, I cleaned bars. So I worked graveyard shift, and Kevin Smith had a major heart attack, and I'm a big fan, and I'm a month older than him. Yeah. So then found out I had type 2 diabetes. I lost 100 pounds, a little more. I've gained some back. I'm going back on my diet post Easter candy. And then he came to town after I had lost all that weight, said, who wants to work background on my movie? I was like, oh, wow. And I'm like 48. Yeah. So it was never really available in New Orleans. It was there. But even if I had heard about it, I was thinking about this recently. When I used to work at Wendy's, I worked the drive-thru. And one of my coworkers' husband, who worked in radio, came through. I said, hi, welcome to Wendy's. Can I take your order? Yada, yada, yada. I did not Seinfeld him. I just did that for the story. And he told her to tell me that I should be in radio, like 1990, 91, okay. 92, let's be precise. So, and I was like, oh, cool. But it never entered my head to try. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I didn't have that confidence. And I can look back at other points in my life where, like I was going to be a priest, and a priest goes, you have the gift of prayer. I go, what does that mean? So, well, you just don't do the rote. Like when you pray, it's like basically it was improv. You know what I mean? So I can look back and see the building blocks of where I am now for a long time. So after working background, the bug bit me. And I worked Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, NCIS New Orleans, Claws, all the while working graveyard shift cleaning bars 7 days a week. I had 38-hour days all the time. So when I did Bill and Ted, Face the Music, I was Death's photo double. TJ, have I mentioned that recently that I've... Oh. I tend to say that a lot.
Yeah, you have.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure everybody knew. But when you work background, you're kind of in one area. And then when photo doubles stand in and the actors and the crew are in another, sometimes for food lines. And then that bug bit me. I wanted to have lines in a movie. So I started studying with Jim Gleason, started taking improv with Anubis Improv, voice acting with guys like Michael Bell from G.I. Joe. He was Duke. Charlie Adler. We've taken with Debbie Derryberry, TJ and I. She was Jimmy Neutron. Just,
Okay.
you know, I was gorging myself on lessons. And that bug has bit me. And I don't want to say, ooh, I have a talent, but I have a bit of a talent for it. You know, storytelling, everything's storytelling. When I take my pictures, I do photo ops at cons. And, you know, I have people who wait for me every January. What are you going to do? And the Lord of the Rings guys came and I brought ring pops. Plus the story. You tell the story. And that's throughout podcasting, acting, taking pictures, maybe stand up one day. I'm going to go meet this guy. His name's Dave the Barber. He's going to help me learn editing. I know a bit, but like using footage from a red or black, the super duper cameras, you know, I can't even get into my computer. So he's going to help me with that. So even little short filmmaking, storytelling. And as you can tell, I like the sound of my own voice and I love storytelling.
Well, sometimes as an actor, you need to have that. You need to be. I'll go ahead and offer my place. If you ever make it across the lake again, you want a couple of lessons, I'd be glad to show you for editing. It's all good.
Do you have a car I can borrow?
That's the problem. No.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Bob, I think we should all come to your place and get some lessons, because even though I've been editing a long time, there's chunks of knowledge that I'm missing. You know, like we got a black magic, and that then we had to learn DaVinci Resolve, and editing the black magic footage is completely different from editing with the Sony footage that I have. There's just a lot of different things to consider with it. So,
there's so much depending on the system. I've been teaching at school where I teach at a school. Yeah, that's the way it usually works. But even though I have subscriptions to Adobe Premiere, and of course we can download DaVinci Resolve for free, it's difficult to get kids who have Chromebooks or really cheap computers be able to edit. They want to use their phones in CapCut, and they're like, okay, no phones allowed at school. So we're going to use your little computer, your little Chromebook. And of course, the lament is you can't do it. But there is a program I use called WeVideo, and it doesn't matter. You upload your footage to the cloud and you edit on the cloud. So the processor power of your machine doesn't matter. And it's basic. You can do transitions, you can add music, you can do green screen, you can do all this other kind of stuff, but it's not as full featured as you would expect. But for high school, middle school, or even adults, if you wanted to get something out there, you could easily do it really quickly, really nicely. Let me go back.
I think it's great that
go ahead.
We getting kids started at a young age, just knowing that you can move clips around and create transitions really kind of opens it up. And when they get access to a more powerful system and they can actually get into like DaVinci or Premiere, they're going to be ready. They're going to have at least a base knowledge. So just saying, I think it's great that you're helping start kids out early.
Basically, it's not the tool. It's, the concepts behind using a tool. I can show them how to use a hammer, and that's great, but it'll be a little cheap, Walmart hammer that they practice on, but then they'll go out and get their 16-pound, carpenter's hammer, and it's a better quality hammer, but they'll be able to use it, in no time. They already have the concepts down. That's the part that really gets me, is the teaching. And when we're on set doing these 48s, when I have the kids there, I'm teaching them, and I'm having them do the slate and helping me gaff with the lights, and a couple of them hold the boom. So that's why some of the audio doesn't quite sound as right, but I'm willing to forgive that because they're learning. It's, that's the part that I think is fun. Let me get back to our beginnings, and because we have TJ, the strong silent type, who's sitting there very strong and silent. So tell me how you got started in this.
Yeah. So same as Brian, I got started pretty late in life. When I was younger, I thought I'd want to be an actor, but I just didn't, living in Louisiana and Mississippi, didn't know how to get into it. So I never really followed up on it. As an adult, I did a little bit of background before COVID, and didn't really give it much more thought after that because it was really long days on set for not a whole lot of pay.
Right.
And then I got asked to do Twisted Metal, and I was in a small scene with Anthony Mackie and an actor named Jordan Salome, an actor named Earl White. And there was another actor, but his name was Kevin. Didn't really interact with him much because the rule of thumb is you don't engage with principal cast unless they talk to you first. So I tried to be mindful and respectful of that. Jordan started talking to me and asked me if I had done any principal acting, and I hadn't. And he said, you really should. You have a good look for it. And he told me the steps, start taking acting lessons, get professional headshots, start working on, like 48-hour film project, other smaller projects to get some experience and to get some footage for real. So I started taking classes. I studied with Jim Gleason first, and then I studied with James DeMont, took improv at Anubis, not in the same class as Brian. I was a little bit after him, and started getting involved in as many little projects as I could. And I've had a blast with it so far.
Oh, awesome. That sounds great. When we talk about projects, it seems like we're concentrating on the 48 and Party at the End of the Universe, which is really a fun little romp. I like the story and the way it ended. That's the hard part with a lot of 48s is trying to come up with an ending to wrap it up in just 4 to 7 minutes. But in the future, I mean, I have plans for features. I have ideas and other things I'm working on, and I will continue to work on them until they're done. Probably continue working on for a long time. But what kind of plans do y'all have for the future? Like, do you have a project in mind that you're working on that you really want to see come to fruition?
Brian, do you want to talk about it?
You go ahead. You're our leader.
Oh, okay.
Too bad you're our leader. I called it.
I had no idea there was an election. I was completely.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So this is something that actually me and a bunch of my friends have been talking about doing for a long time. But Brian, I think you are the one that said, let's do this thing, is to do a film a month. We all have ideas. We all have scripts. We all have little projects we want to do. And we now have a little collective of people so that we can get a crew and a cast to do all kinds of stuff. Plus, we have the virtual production screen, so we could set it anywhere, or we could go shoot out at the park or whatever. But we're doing I'm calling it the One Take Wonders, which is one of the reasons I was laughing when you were talking about Hunter and his one more for safety. We're not one more for safety people at all. And I actually... a lot, by the way, as an aside, on the 48, there were plenty of times I did one take. And Mike was like, you don't want to do it. And I'm like, nope, that was fine. That's good. And it was fine, especially if it was a little short thing. Anyway, so the One Take Wonders are the second week of the month is when people pitch their scripts. And then we have a little vote. We pick the script. The person whose script was picked is responsible for, if they want to direct, that's great. Or they have to find somebody to direct. They find the cast and crew. But we pool our resources because, like I said, I have this improv troupe. One of the great things about improv actors is they can do anything. Like you say, well, TJ, we had this discussion. You said, what's my character all about? I said, he's a rich jerk. And we went back and forth a few times, and it took about, 3 minutes? Because another thing I do in my scripts, especially for the accordion part where people have this one-liner, it's like I write something, but you don't have to say that. It's basically you yell an insult at so-and-so. In this case, it was. So TJ's like, what am I supposed to do here? And we started talking, and then all of a sudden he said, get me a cigar. And I said, yes, you have found the character. And I don't even think it took 3 minutes. So we have this big pool of people like this that could show up and just do things. Now, if it's something that requires a lot more depth, maybe there needs to be rehearsals or whatever. But I think we're just looking at getting some films out and doing some stuff. So then, the person whose film it is, they find the cast and crew and we all help with that. And then we get together here or wherever, we shoot it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if this was clear from our talk about the studio is in our house. It's the whole first floor of our house. It used to be a beauty salon, and now it's our studio.
That seems
And
like it's a nice amount of space, though. I mean, the whole.
it's like 15 by 25. It's a good space. And then we live upstairs. So we live above the studio, which is very convenient. So our living room was the green room when we made the film. And I apologize, Brian, for you having to go up and down those stairs 800 times. I didn't even think about it.
No. And it's a good reminder for me to get back in shape. But the character was sickly. He was exhausted. Those stairs really helped me get into
Yeah,
character.
it worked. It worked.
Oh, and the other thing I did want to apologize for is that there's a scene where Brian was in bed with his wife, but she's asleep. She's a lump under the blankets, and he's scrolling his phone. And then at the end, he rolls over and cuddles her a little and says the last line. It didn't occur to me that I needed to have a little intimacy coordinator talk with them, because I'm like, they're both like, it just didn't even, and that's a lesson learned. I should have, because I talked to Kay, the woman who played Brian's wife, about whether she was comfortable about it. And she said, oh yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna be under the blankets and whatever. And you two get a chance to chat a bit. I didn't ask you though, Brian.
Yeah, which I didn't have a problem with. The type of bed it was and my weight, when I turned, the spring brought me away from my scene partner. So I'm struggling. So some creative edits, and we didn't make me look too fumbly.
It all worked out
It
fine.
did.
Yeah.
No,
Scene came out great.
I like that. I like that.
And TJ got to let go of some of his frustrations on me, because he's one of the guys, he really got in my face.
Oh yeah, I snatched him by the lapel and pulled him in and delivered the line. Felt kind of weird, but
it was good.
I think it was a fun scene.
And it taught us, like, we could take a couple more minutes and make sure we got a close-up of you. Like, everybody should have a close-up. We all missed it. The other thing, and we just talked about this before we went on, TJ had a very special moment in that 48, something new. Could you tell us about that, TJ?
Yeah. You know, all right. I've talked about this some on NOLA Film Scene. I grew up with a lot of inhibition. I spent 20 years in the military, and just the culture, you become stoic. You don't show a lot of emotion. You don't share a lot of stuff. And that was just kind of always how I was. So I've had some hurdles to overcome getting into acting, being comfortable in my own skin. And dancing and singing are two things that have always been kind of my least favorite things. And I don't know when it changed. Maybe after improv, I got a little more comfortable with just performing and having a good time. So for the first time ever in a film, I danced in this one, and actually danced in a film project this past weekend as well. So I've danced in 2 films now. So
Patrick Swayze
yeah,
coming up, man.
And he had the time of his life.
There you go. I'll get you some tap shoes, and you can really kind of go to town.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome. I think that's part of it, is stepping out of your comfort zone and
Indeed.
making it work.
And I got to say, I never would have, with your performance, I never guessed. You did fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
And we gave him this fancy scarf, and he's flinging the scarf around. I mean, it was, and every single time that I was like, okay, dance, everybody, he was right in there, and it looked great. It looked great.
And I felt comfortable. I never, not one single time, felt uncomfortable doing it. I used to be self-conscious and, worried about how it looked. Did I look dumb doing it? And I just decided, you know what, let it go and just have fun. And it worked out.
See, I like that. I mean, when you're an actor on camera, there's a lot of them that I see who are starting out, who they memorize their lines and they say their lines, and it comes out so wooden and rote, and you need to get, there's no emotion in it. getting yourself outside your comfort zone, using past experience to kind of fill in that character, really helps sell the character you're trying to be. Like TJ, you said, when you got in Brian's face on that one scene, it's like you're bringing in the emotion you already have sometimes, and putting it into your character, which sells it. And I do remember that scene; it really did sell it. And then the dancing, you're outside, it's ridiculous, but you got to throw your self consciousness, out the window, because it doesn't matter. People look at it and it's like, that's not who the real person is. This is a character he's playing, and that's totally different. It's like, the actors who are self-deprecating in films, who make fun of themselves. That, I think, is great, because it shows that they're real people, and it also helps you, relax and get into the character that they're trying to be. So I applaud all talent, all actors. This is something that I don't want to be. I'm never going to be an actor. I was in college. I was background in 2 films, JFK with Oliver Stone and Cat People with Nastasia Kinski. And
wow.
I had friends that were in Cat People. I remember it.
I enjoyed that film. It was interesting to work on. The film failed in the box office, but that's okay. It was, but
they filmed some of it at the zoo in New Orleans.
Yes, they did. They filmed it at the zoo. They filmed it in the swamps outside Slidell. You can see me walking through the swamps looking for a cat in a police raincoat.
Is this, you mean Nastasia Kinski?
Yeah.
Cat People? That one? I had no idea they shot that down here.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. We didn't have a lot back then. There was that one and the Richard Gere, Kim Basinger. Basinger. Thank you. I knew I was going to mess up. I think it's No Mercy.
No Mercy.
Back in the early 80s, there was just a couple of productions that were in town.
And they were usually big deals. People would come in like, I'm going to be in it. I'm going to do it. And I did it to see if that's really what I wanted to do. And I was in a play and a couple of plays in college, and realized, no, I'm good. I'll be behind the scenes, and just kind of took it from there. So it's been kind of fun, a fun road of where you begin and where you end up. I mean, so it's just makes it really interesting. So y'all got anything planned for the next few weeks? Something good coming up, or you just kind of trying to get ready for July?
If I could interrupt for 1 second. I've had a couple of people reach out after releasing this 48 and say, oh, I'd like to do that. But they're not actors. I have one guy who's a photographer. He wants to learn how to be film photographer. Mm-hmm. Cameraman, I guess.
Camera operator, right. Cinematographer.
Well, one of the people that we had, what's his name? Was it Kyle? No,
Max.
Ken. Max. It was Max. He had never done any acting before. He is an electrician. He was an actual client of mine. He sat in my chair and I talked about filmmaking, and he said, oh, I'd love to do that. And he showed up and he nailed it.
Awesome.
You would have never known. He was the third male dancer in the
with the scarf on the inside.
Yeah, the other bearded dancer.
Yeah. Super great guy. Very helpful on set. I say anybody who wants to do it should be given an opportunity. And then if you prove that you're completely inept, you let us know and we won't ever work with you again. We've had that experience too.
What I was going to say.
Come on set. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You finish and then I'll go.
Okay. I was just going to say we had somebody on our first or second 48 that I did who just didn't get the fact that this is a movie set, and no, we can't turn the AC on, and no, we can't. You can't be putting stuff in the microwave right now. Can't be doing it. And he just didn't get anything, so he's never. We're never going to invite him back. So.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. Now, in the New Orleans area, there are meet and greets. There are parties leading up to the 48. So
every city has those, as far as I know.
I could only speak to what I knew, but I believe that to be true. And you can trust her. She's a nice lady. So if you're interested in this, you can follow the 48-hour project on NOLA Project. Or find us and we'll direct you to it if that'll help.
Yeah.
We'll give out our socials between all our podcasts and this.
Yeah,
And
I'll put up a link down below so you guys can see it.
And
There's
then you
also
go
the Facebook page. NOLA has a Facebook page, and that's where they announce their mixers. So you don't have to sign up for it. You can just go to a mixer, and if you're a nice person and you say, I want to learn, a team will take you. It's being willing to work hard and not being a jerk. Those are the two requirements.
Oh, then I'm out.
Yes.
I'm a jerk. No, so
Dang
you don't.
jerks.
I'm very a social butterfly, but like TJ may be less than that. If you've listened to our podcast, I'm loud and bawdy. He's, like you said, strong and silent. So not only can you meet people and just, hey, we're friends, I can talk to you and I'm on your team. If that doesn't work out, you go to the people organizing it and they'll put you on a list and help you find a team.
Yep, that's
and then
right.
Everything you do, you learn and you grow. You see if you like this, and then you get a chance to play with us. But you have to be professional, even on a free thing.
Yes.
And I'll give you this story before I turn over the mic. On a different movie, a friend of ours was directing, and he was letting his friend be the limo driver, or whatever it was, a driver. And they had to be there at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. comes and goes. I don't know, the guy didn't call. Finally, at 3:40, they talked to him, and the guy goes, well, it's not that big of a line. It's a long way there. Guy had never been in a movie before. That's fine, but if you say you're going to do something, do it, or talk to the people beforehand, let them know. Just because it's free doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. And you build a reputation even on that stuff. If you're a jerk, everybody will know.
It will get around.
If you're a nice person and you work hard, everyone will know that, and it may take longer, but that's a deeper knowledge. You know what I mean? And that weathers the storm when things go bad. So just be a good person, please.
Well, the other thing I would like to add something to that is that I do get requests from people that say, I'm an actor and I want to be an actor in your film. And that's great, but I won't take anybody who is just an actor. I wish I had the luxury of just having some actors that were available. But my first question when they say, I want to act on your film, I go, great, what kind of crew thing do you think you're going to be able to do? Like, do you like to cook? Do you want to be crafty? You can be a PA. Ideally, if someone's going to be a PA, it's somebody who can get up and down a ladder and can carry stuff.
Or stairs.
Or stairs.
Yep.
Do you have any experience with lighting? Are you curious? Maybe you're just going to be the behind the scenes photographer. You're going to do something, because we don't have that luxury. And also, it's not fair to my actor friends who are crew already. I'm going to give the part to them, not a stranger coming in. So if you're interested in being an actor on the films, that's great. But to do that, I would offer to just help. I'd like to learn. I'm there to help. If you need an extra body, because we could have thrown 6 people in that party scene. Anybody who showed up could have been. In fact, we had to throw poor Katie. This is our wardrobe person. We threw her in there so we had an extra person. She does not want to be on camera at all. But, you get my point. But saying, I just want to be an actor in your film. Yeah, you and everybody else, honestly.
Yeah.
So offer something else in addition.
Yep. I mean, you don't have to know much, but like the PA aspect, like you said, that is an awesome thing. Like, I'm just going to haul crap around. I'm going to be there. Go get you a cup of coffee. I can do that.
Yep. Somebody go pick up the muffins. We need somebody to run to the drugstore because we need blah, blah, blah. The case of like Ride to Destiny, the film I was talking about, somebody had to go to Walmart and buy those hobby horses. We needed a lot, you always need something like that.
Yes. And like my wife comes along with me every shoot I do. And she doesn't know that much about filmmaking. She does now because it's been a while. She's been watching everything. But she comes on as a PA, as crafty, as you name it. She actually acted as AD a number of times, yelling at people to get on set. And it's like, okay, cool. It's like, so she gets in there and then she starts directing, and that's when I have to pull back. Okay. No, but
Is she booked for the 48? coming up?
Great so. Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get
Somebody
her.
right here.
We need an AD. I really want to have an AD. Anyway.
She is awesome, and it's like I said, she started off not knowing anything, and then just picked up and went with her strong suit. She used to be a teacher, and teachers are that type A personality, and so she took over, and it was great. We were able to get things done. She actually has fun trying to get Hunter, to continue on and go to the next shot, which is so much fun to watch. But
oh yeah.
But this has been great. I mean, I love this. We had a great conversation. Anything else anybody like to add at the end here?
Oh, I was just thinking a good job for a newbie too would be script supervisor or clapperboard clapper, like somebody who they want to kind of sit all day for whatever reason. I would have loved to have had a script supervisor on this last one. I didn't. I missed having no AD and no scripty, but
Yep.
it was all right. Anyway, that's all.
That's all.
And an assistant to the cameraman is always nice.
Yeah, I'd like to
Yes.
AD with you sometime, Michelle.
What are you doing on the weekend of July 18th, TJ?
I don't know that I have plans.
We'll talk.
Looks like you do now.
I've been conscripted.
I
think TJ should be your lead and a script supervisor.
See, that's the problem. You can't, if you have a lead actor, I try not to give them a job.
I failed miserably at the back behind the scenes video.
No, you did fantastic.
Oh, I get my selfies, but just standing there, like I missed something when we were setting up. I wish I could have done more, but
you got 100 times more pictures than we get when we're all just like, oh, we should take pictures.
That's just me, and everybody should go to Kodaks by Kojak on Instagram and see what we're talking about.
Okay. Oh, can I mention the name of my book for everybody?
Yes, please. Let's hear that.
It's called How We Do a 48-Hour Film Project. And it is meant to explain our process, which is not necessarily everybody's process. But I do touch on some things I've heard from other people. And it's just meant to give just a guide for someone who's new, who's maybe thinking about doing it, or maybe they've done it, but they're like, is there better ways to do this or whatever? And it comes out of my joy in doing these 48-hour film projects, because it's supposed to be fun, and it always is. That's my number one rule. We have fun. And the second rule, like in order of importance, is we learn something and then make a good film. Comes firmly at number 3. And ironically, if we have a good time and learn something, we end up almost always making a decent film. Some are wonderful gems and some are just okay, but we make a good film. And I've also found that even the times that we made it, like what I considered like, hey, I'm not putting this on my YouTube channel, everybody who participated was happy anyway, because they learned something, they had fun, you hung out with your friends for the weekend. And so that's kind of the point of the book. And I did want to add that until I wrote this book, I didn't realize how much preparation we do. Like more than 50% of the book is things you do before the 48 weekend. A lot of that.
Where can you find a book? Where can I get it?
At Amazon.com, How We Do a 48-Hour Film Project by Michele Bousquet.
Excellent. I'm going to be ordering that actually as soon as we're done here, because I'd love to read it. Love to take a look at it.
I'm picturing you reading it going, that's a terrible way to do it. It's not how I do it.
No. I'll send you my notes. Okay.
I would love to, for the second edition, have other people's perspective to add to it. So maybe that's something that we could look at. And I will give you, 10% of all the profits from the book, which right now are about $2.30. So
hey, that's behind the scenes of
23
negotiations. Don't hold her to that.
Talking.
As her lawyer, there are no contracts solved yet.
so far, I've given away more of them than I've sold. So I do appreciate if you
We must
buy it. It's
protect. We've got to protect you from yourself, Michelle.
Yeah, I think the price is like $10 or something. I want people to be able
Soon to be
afford
20
it.
Yeah,
because
it
now
was-
it's so
it was-
valuable. With all.
That's right.
Yeah, my manager is telling me. Gonna raise the price.
Well, I love it. I want to thank you all for coming on Anecdotes and having a nice little chat with me. I'll be in touch with each of you. We may have to do this again at another date. I love it. Michele, Dave, thank y'all very much. Brian, TJ, I really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
had a
And
good
part
time.
2, I'm sorry, TJ, go ahead. I cut you off.
I was just saying I had a good time.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Part
thank you.
two.
This was fun.
I'm going to get it out. Part 2 will be on NOLA Film Scene with TJ and Plaideau.
Excellent.
Sounds great.
Thank y'all, and stay tuned for the next episode, whatever it may be. Appreciate y'all. Thanks to our sponsors, La Film Studios and the Abita Springs International Film Festival. If you want to sponsor the Anecdotes video podcast or be a guest, please email us at anecdotes@lafilm.net. Anecdotes is recorded in the 36 and 59 studio in beautiful Abita Springs, Louisiana.